Hey everyone, welcome to season 2 of At ITS Now. And in this episode, we will be dealing with the most controversial subject ever in intelligent transport systems sector: smart motorways. You may have heard that smart motorways have been cancelled, but what does this actually mean? Anyway, I'm Alistair, and this is At ITS Now. Since the government announcement on the 17th of April 2023 cancelling any further smart motorway construction in England, there has been increasing speculation regarding what will happen to the existing sections of smart motorway which have previously been implemented. The reason for their cancellation stem from public and political opinions which have been fueled by a strong media narrative. This has followed a number of high-profile fatalities which have occurred following breakdowns or minor incidents, particularly when stationary vehicles or occupants have been hit by other vehicles. What is a smart motorway? Actually, there are 3 variants of smart motorways in England. Dynamic hard shoulder, DHS, which only uses the hard shoulder during periods of congestion when the speed limit has been reduced. All lane running, ALR, which uses all lanes for live traffic. And controlled motorways, CM, which use technology to actively manage traffic flow but retain the hard shoulder. The public is largely unaware that there are different types of smart motorway. However, most of the criticism has been centred on the all-lane running, the ALR variant. So let's look at this in a bit more detail. The Department for Transport, DFT, published the Smart Motorway Safety Evidence Stocktake and Action Plan in 2020 in response to perceived concerns regarding the safety of smart motorways. This concluded that, overall, the evidence shows that in most ways, smart motorways are as safe as or safer than conventional motorways. With fatalities on the ALR network being lower than conventional motorways, although injury rates were slightly higher. So, although the complexities of reaching a statistically significant result using the available datasets was difficult, given the relatively short duration of operation for many stretches of smart motorway, these appeared to be safer, certainly in terms of fatalities, than conventional motorways, and that there wasn't a compelling indication of these being much worse as reported in the mainstream press. However, the report found within this overall picture, the specific risk relating to live lane breakdowns has increased, and there is confusion over the different types of smart motorways. And it went on to make a range of recommendations to improve safety and to enhance the public's perception and confidence in smart motorways. These recommendations included the accelerated deployment of stopped vehicle detection, SVD for short, on ALR sections to deal with the increased risks associated with vehicle breakdowns in live lanes. A reduction in the spacing of emergency refuge areas, ERAs, for new schemes, along with investigating how more ERAs could be retrofitted to existing sections to improve the provision of places of relative safety and to make these more visible to users. Use of cameras to automatically enforce red X compliance of live lane closures, to respond to driver confusion when using DHS sections of smart motorway by upgrading these to ALR variants to simplify their operation and to make driver experience more consistent. Following this, in January 2022, the government announced that new ALR schemes would be paused to allow 5 years of safety data to be collected to allow a thorough evidence-based assessment to be made. However, only a year later, in April 2023, we now find that all new schemes have been cancelled. So what went wrong? In short, public media pressure on politicians has resulted in the decision to cancel further smart motorways being made prior to the 5-year data gathering exercise being completed. Ultimately, a number of issues has been responsible for this situation. Although there was some public information about smart motorways, this didn't get to users fast enough before negative stories started to appear in the press. Greater distances between ERAs are unpopular, with a general impression that these are too far apart. Delays in implementing features such as stop vehicle detection across the network. Delays in implementing automatic red X enforcement led to widespread abuse of closed lanes. And all of this is set against a significant proportion of drivers who exhibit poor driver discipline and a general mistrust of the accuracy and topicality of message sets displayed to drivers on the network.
Please subscribe to keep up to date with ITS Now.
The resulting public lack of confidence in national highways was then compounded by reported systems failures, which resulted in monitoring systems not working correctly, including operators in regional control centres not being able to see what was going on. Won't digital roads make smart motorways obsolete anyway? Although automated vehicles have received a lot of publicity in recent years, the underpinning technology of connected vehicles will need to be in place to allow their effective operation at large scale. Connected technologies for vehicles is broadly in two classes: vehicle to vehicle, referred to as V2V, and vehicle to infrastructure or vehicle to everything, respectively referred to as V2I and V2X. These will allow vehicles to be updated regarding a broad range of issues with the network, such as a pothole, and to respond to other vehicles, such as a car ahead unexpectedly braking. Once the connected infrastructure is in place and a sufficiently large proportion of vehicles is also equipped, traditional heavy ITS infrastructure deployments, such as the large variable message signs and lane indicators used in smart motorway deployments, will be largely superseded. National Highways' own Digital Roads Plan envisages how our road network will develop over the next 20 plus years to respond to both connected and automated vehicle development. However, at this point, it is still thought that the existing technology infrastructure will need to be retained for the next decade. It is only envisaged to start minimizing signage and equipment from 2035 onwards, with the goal to fully declutter the roadsides from 2045, when the vehicle fleet using the roads will be fully connected and automated. What's next for existing smart motorways? National Highways has been implementing a reported £900 million worth of further safety improvements, including comprehensive SVD coverage and constructing 150 more ERAs. But will these be sufficient to stave off pressure to remove smart motorways? The cancellation of new smart motorway schemes should be a stark warning that political decisions don't always follow a predictable path. It is therefore important for a level of pragmatism to proactively deal with the inevitable pressure to resolve what happens to the existing sections of smart motorway. One of the recommendations from the 2020 Stocktake report was to make smart motorways more consistent for drivers, with dynamic hard shoulder sections to be simplified to all-lane running. However, these schemes have now been cancelled, so we will still have the issue of having 3 variants of smart motorway on the network. To respond to this preemptively, in order to get ahead of public opinion, it might therefore be worth considering looking to change DHS and ALR sections to become controlled motorways instead. This would at least then retain the existing infrastructure investment that is being made on these sections by using the technology to actively manage traffic flow, albeit at the cost of losing lane 0 to a hard shoulder. This would be far less abortive than converting these sections back to conventional motorways. Therefore, the next steps for smart motorways need to be taken carefully to avoid further discrediting the public opinion of the technologies used to manage and operate our highways, and the industry's ability to implement these effectively and safely. A number of things there to think about the way in which motorways will develop over the next few years and how the existing smart motorway sections might best be used to avoid a huge waste of investment in them. So, what are your thoughts about smart motorways? What should happen next? Comment below. So this is one of our ITS Thought Leadership series. We'll also be having episodes in our Technology Insights, Traffic Signal Principles, ITS Events and ITS Educational series within Season 2. So look out for the various topics coming soon. And lastly, could I please ask you to subscribe to our channel? It really does help us to bring you further videos about ITS. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed. Thanks for watching. See you next time.